Hi, this is Dan Smith. Welcome to today's episode of Einstein's Theory of Taxability. I'm your host, and today I'm going to be talking about the IRS Whistleblower Office and its program for awarding awards of money to people who bring information to the IRS that the IRS uses to audit or examine other people, collect money because of an underpayment of taxes from those other people, and then the IRS will share some part of the proceeds that they collect with the whistleblower. So let's just talk a little bit about the IRS Whistleblower Office. So what is it? Well, essentially it's just what I just said. The IRS maintains a special office called the Whistleblower Office, which gets information from people who claim to have, and sometimes do have, information related to other taxpayers who have allegedly underpaid their taxes. And these people who are whistleblowers come forward, file forms with the whistleblower office at the IRS, providing them with credible, supportable documentation and information about these other taxpayers who have allegedly underpaid their taxes. The IRS reviews this information that whistleblowers bring to their office, and if they deem that the information is credible, supportable, and provides information that is of interest to them in going against these other taxpayers who have allegedly underpaid their taxes, they will then take action. They'll examine those other taxpayers. They'll put them under audit, and if they collect money as a result of that, then the person who brought them the information, the whistleblower, will get an award from the amount collected. The amount is essentially left up to the Internal Revenue Service, but it's typically between 15 and 30% of the amount collected. A case that just came out from the tax court is interesting. It was filed by a whistleblower who brought information to the whistleblower office about the oil company BP, and this pertained to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill back in 2010. This person who was the whistleblower had worked for a number of years at BP and alleged to have information that showed, in this whistleblower's view, that BP had taken deductions for environmental remediation that it was not entitled to. In other words, the whistleblower alleged that BP had, rather than some of its activities, rather than remediating the environmental mess that was made with the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, rather than doing that, they were basically, in the whistleblower's allegation, not remediating, but basically covering up the extent of the damage and making things look like they were working hard to remediate the environmental disaster, when really it was not really happening to the extent that they were showing that they were putting forth to the public that they were doing. Now, this was just an allegation by a whistleblower, and what the case shows is, in addition to just highlighting the fact that there is a whistleblower office, the tax court basically said that the person who brought forth this allegation, this whistleblower, when the IRS looked at it, they said this is speculative, this is not credible, documented information, we just reject it. And the tax court said that the issue was whether the tax court had jurisdiction to review a rejection of a whistleblower allegation just outright, or whether the tax court has the jurisdiction to review that, or whether it's just something the IRS can do, and and the tax court has no part to play in determining whether the whistleblower office had done the right thing or not. The IRS position was that since that no audit had been instigated as a result of information that the whistleblower allegedly brought forth, and since no money therefore was collected because of it, under the statute, with no action having been taken, no audit having been taken, no monies collected, that the whistleblower is not entitled to any funds anyway, so the case should be dismissed. When the IRS just rejected the claim, that should be the end of it. The tax court said, no, it's true that that a whistleblower cannot force the IRS to audit a taxpayer, and the tax court cannot force the IRS to audit a taxpayer based on a whistleblower complaint, but the IRS whistleblower office must at least review the whistleblower complaint to see if it meets the eligibility requirements for a whistleblower complaint that might entitle the whistleblower to an award. And if a whistleblower is rejected and can make a case that the IRS did not adequately at least review their complaint and just rejected it out of hand, the tax court can have jurisdiction to review that rejection and have the IRS at least review the allegations made by the whistleblower to see if they meet the minimum level of criteria that might make the whistleblower eligible for an award. In other words, does the whistleblower present non-speculative, credible, supportable documentation with regard to a taxpayer and a possible underpayment by that taxpayer. So the case is interesting because of that. It doesn't really get into the details that much of the whistleblower's case. It's just in the context of the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. What's interesting is the fact that there is this whistleblower office, and if a person does have non-speculative, credible, supportable documentation and proof that another taxpayer has underpaid its taxes and can make that case in its filing with the Internal Revenue Service, and if the Internal Revenue Service takes that information, opens an audit, and then collects money from that taxpayer, the whistleblower is going to be entitled to share in that award, which I said is somewhere, depending on what the IRS awards, could be between 15 and 30% of the amount collected. So if you had a case where a whistleblower came forth with supportable, documented, non-speculative, credible information about a taxpayer's underpayment of taxes, and because of that an audit was open, monies were collected, and let's say that they collected $5 million from that taxpayer, then the whistleblower would be entitled to up to 30% of that $5 million, which would be $1.5 million. You can see that whistleblowers in large cases stand the chance of collecting a large award based on being a whistleblower. All right, that's it for today. Just to put that out there to let you know about the whistleblower office at the IRS and kind of how it works. If you have any questions, please feel free to call. And that's it for today. Thanks.